Hi, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Melting Pot, a series of conversations with very diverse and extremely passionate people who are also change makers. And what's interesting is that they are from across the globe. My guest today is someone who is really fascinating, and I can't wait to hear her story. Her name is Artusha Hamal. Artusha is from Nepal, but I think she spent her formative years in India while she was studying there at school. And then she, I believe, has spent time in the US, is extremely spiritual, is a follower of Osho, and at some point in her life was also a radio jockey. So, I mean, you can understand when I say that she's multifaceted, and I'm really, really excited for you to hear what she has to share about herself. So, thank you so much, Artusha, for joining me today.
Thank you, Payal. Thank you for inviting me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I understand you mentioned in your email that today is a holiday in Nepal.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you for actually finding time during a day off to
No worries.
talk to
Thank
me.
you so much. Thank you for inviting once again. I'll just thank you. And I'll thank Radhika as well, because that was really sweet. She reached out and I wasn't like expecting. And we were just talking about, Karwa Chauth, that Indian festival that they have, Karwa Chauth. So we just started our conversation with Karwa Chauth, and then it just led to this. And it was
Okay.
like,
Great. Yeah. So some things are meant to be, right?
yeah, I guess.
Okay, so let's start from maybe the beginning, a little bit about yourself. I mean, you're clearly from Nepal, but which part of Nepal, what background on you, and then how your life kind of panned out would be really, really interesting.
So yeah, actually, I was born in India.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm from like a really small town in Nepal, and that time we didn't have like good hospitals and stuff. So yeah, my father took my mother to India, so I was born in India. But then, of course, I'm like from Nepal. And then later, I went to school in Nainital, and then I was just there for like 13 years, and then. After that, I went to US for a couple of years to study and to work. And after that, I got back here. And that's when my journey started with spirituality and everything else. Like I started exploring my life after, I would say, 2015. Before that, it was always like, mama's girl, papa's girl, and just doing what everybody else expects.
What actually was there like an awakening? Because normally it's, there's a life event, or there is some sort of, or maybe you've got, a deep rooted spiritual side to you, which only kind of projected itself when you matured. I mean, what is how did you get onto that track? And how did you discover Osho?
All right, this is a very interesting question. So basically, when I was younger, I used to have dreams. I used to see a lot of dreams, and they were like really weird, and somehow those dreams would come into reality. Not all of them, but some intense dreams would actually come to reality. And I used to tell my parents about it. And of course, they would like slap me or, get mad at me. They would say like, no, she's just, bluffing, or she's just trying to get attention. So it started creating a lot of fear because I felt like, okay, maybe there's something wrong with me. And now I'm getting to understand that that was not the case. It was just like, some people are born with sensitivity. They're very sensitive to dreams, maybe to other people's emotions. Some people are very intuitive. We have a certain words for that, like clairaudience, clairvoyance, things like that, like, so clairvoyant people who are clairvoyant, they can see things that normal people cannot. Like, they can see your aura, they can see figures and stuff that you cannot. Clairaudience, they can hear sounds and all, even spirit guide messages and stuff. So I was born a clairvoyant, and I used to also like see dreams. Of course, nobody believed it. Later, I started getting very intuitive as a kid. And I used to often express, of course, I would always get into trouble. Then after that, I just started suppressing all of those emotions and dreams and intuitions. And I kept giving myself affirmations that, no, 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 this is not real. This is not me. This is just my mind trying to scare me. And this is how I started suppressing it. And after some time, like after a couple of months, it was gone. So I was like, I couldn't hear those sounds or anything as a child when I was growing up. And then it happened to be so that I had a massive, I would not say massive, but like really traumatizing experiences, even as a child. Like, my parents got separated and stuff, and I wasn't like a very good student when it came to numbers, in school.
Yeah.
So that used to create a lot of problems, and there was a lot of comparisons, even like with teachers and all. They made me believe that I was not going to land up anywhere, and that I have like no role to play in this society or in this world. And I always grew up thinking that, okay, I am good for nothing, and I cannot offer anything to anybody, and basically just like I'm just useless. So this is how I grew up thinking all of that. And then later I went to US, and then I started exploring there a little bit here and there, because I come from like a really patriarchal background. Parents, like my entire family, and also the society in Nepal is like very patriarchal. I would say a lot more than India, because India still has like 3 generation of education after the independence. Nepal, it's like not even 2 generations. I would say my generation is the generation where everybody is like interested into like learning more and educating themselves. Yeah. So you can see the difference, right? Like, the more educated you are, you can like actually see the patriarchy and everything. But here people don't. So it was really challenging. And only after I went to US, I started exploring a little bit here and there. And it was to an extent where I started discovering that I used to enjoy being a rebel. I wanted to always do things that too, if my heart says this is good, go for it, then I would go for it and actually do it. And like how my father would never let me wear skirts, jeans, and things like that. He would just tell me to wear like, traditional clothes. So one day I just went to my wardrobe. I took out like a pair of my traditional outfit and I just chopped it off, like in front of my father. So I'll do things like that. Yeah. So I was like, no, you guys can do whatever you want, but I'm not going to listen. And then as soon as I reached the United States, I made sure that I like go to the beach first, wear like bikini, and just send him a picture. Say, hey, daddy, look what your daughter is up to. Of course, I love him a lot, but I wanted him to like break his conditioning, like, because he used to say, oh, my daughter, you're a son to me, you're a son to me. So I used to always say that, hey, if I'm a son, then, you gotta just, let me be. Then why if you're calling me a son, and then you're putting so many restrictions like you would do to daughters in Nepal, then that's not like that's confusing. You got to pick one. So all this happened, and then later, of course, now the intense part starts. Okay, the intense. Of course, there's a lot more, but it's just like I'm just going to go to the surface because I want to talk more on the spiritual aspect rather than like my whatever traumas and stuff. So yeah, of course, I didn't get to study what I wanted to. I wanted to do fashion designing. I didn't get to do that. I had to study business. And then after that, I got engaged as well. Of course, after the engagement, it only lasted like 5.5 months. And I had to like leave the person. I wasn't happy. I just left the person. Of course, there was like a lot of issues in the house. Everybody screaming like, no, how could you do that? It's a shame to the family. And everybody always telling me, oh, you're a shame, and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, I'll take that. But I'm still not going to go back to that person. And then, of course, there was a lot of things I had to face when I came back home after I broke the engagement with my ex-fiancé.
And so that's when he was in Nepal, or he was in the US?
He was in the US, and it was very funny because I was supposed to just be getting married. And like, I had never met him. Okay. So met him the first time on the day of the ceremony, and we were supposed to have all the ceremonies on the same day. But we had the Nepal earthquake.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. So we
So, I
had the
mean,
Nepal.
unfortunate that there was an earthquake, but fortunate
Yeah.
for you, I would say, right?
Everything's happened. I was going to get to that point later on, that everything that has happened in my life is like very mysterious, because I don't realize at that time when it's happening. I feel like, oh, it's such a curse. But later on, after a couple of months or years, when I look into it, I feel like, wow, it was like existence actually supporting me, existence actually sending me help. And it's always been very magical. Maybe people will think, okay, she's dreaming, she's just whatever, she's not using logic. But I'm a person who doesn't like to use too much of the mind. I'm more of the heart, and I go more with the experiences. And that's what makes my life worth living, not using the mind too much, but actually feeling and just going with the flow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You make a lot of sense. So then, moving forward, you were saying you wanted to talk more about the spirituality rather than, the
Uh-huh.
traumas that you may have gone through. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'm interested to hear more.
Yeah, so basically, after whatever happened, of course, the journey started off like I went into depression for 10 years. Yeah. And that time I was like, again, back to the trauma a little bit, because this is where it all began. So basically, there was a time like I was not in my senses. I wouldn't know anything. I didn't know anything even about myself, because I was so deep into my traumas and so deep into my depression that literally people would go to my father and tell him that, hey, like, your daughter is not going to survive, and it's okay, don't feel bad, because a tree gives a lot of fruits, not just one or two. And even if a couple of fruits they rot and just fall off, then don't cry. So basically by that they were talking about me, that
Oh,
even if your daughter, even if your daughter dies, a man can still have more kids, and it's okay, let her go, she's not going to survive. And people kept repeating it like mantra to me every time they sat next to me. And then, I was just like sulking. 10 years is not short time to actually get depressed. And it's like a decade, of depression. So I was just like, what do I do? What do I do? And I was like, how do I get help? So first thing I tried was like, I myself reached out to my parents and I said, how about you take me to a rehab, put me there and let's see, because I'll be there under medical guidance and everything, but under like doctors and all, maybe I'll get better. We tried that option. It was me who actually reached out to them, and they're like, okay, they put me there for 5 months. And then what? Nothing happened. That's when, after suffering for 10 years and actually staying in that rehab for 5 months, I decided, no, that is it. Now, either I rise above it or I just die. And that's when we thought of an alternative, except for the rehab, like, what's the other alternative? And then somebody said, go to Osho ashram. And of course, I did not know who Osho was. And I was like, okay, no problem. I'll go there. I've been trying everything. Like, my parents tried everything during that phase. So I was like, okay, might as well just try this, as it is like, I've tried too many experiments. So why not this one? I went to the ashram. I'd gone there only for 15 days and I hated it the first 15 days. It
and
was
your
like,
parents were with you on this.
only my mother. My mother, she followed because my father wanted somebody there to be with me in the ashram to take care of me. So I went to the ashram 15 days. I was like shocked because I saw people like actually tripping without actually getting high on anything. No alcohol, no substance, nothing. And they're tripping like as if they're high on something like some magic mushrooms or something, I don't know, like it was just crazy. And then I could just see that like people were crying, like in some meditations they would cry, they would be like screaming on top of their voices and just releasing everything, because for the worldly people, crying means being vulnerable. Getting vulnerable means you're weak, whereas in the ashram it was just the opposite. Crying meant divine. Tears are divine. You cry because that's you cleansing your emotions, your emotional body. We have different layers of bodies, like just physical is what we see. But apart from the physical, like first is the physical body, then we have the energy body, which is the ethereal body, the aura, the auric body. After that, like we have our mental body, our emotional body, then our spiritual body. So it's like tears are divine because it cleanses, not just your physical body, but your other four bodies as well. And then I really like that concept. And why does a person get depressed? It's because they're not getting a way to express themselves, their true self, because they've suppressed their emotions out of fear, out of whatever reason it could be. They've suppressed their real emotions, their truth so deep that they just have lost in touch with who they are. And once you lose in touch with who you are, then of course this is bound to happen: depression and other mental illnesses. So yeah, so it was a very strange experience. The first 15 days, of course, a person who's from the outside seeing all of that, people crying, and then next moment they start dancing like, okay, they're high on something, and then next moment they're just completely silent, like a Buddha, pin drop silence and no movement, no sound. It's like literally they're frozen. And the more and more I started observing them, I started getting really fascinated. And then I asked my father that I just want to stay here a little longer. Let's see how it goes. My father was like, fine. And then I happened to stay in that particular ashram for 11 months. And trust me, I wasn't meditating at all the first year. I was only dancing, crying, giggling, and just making friends there. And it was wonderful the first year.
Yeah. So you were just basically cleansing. I mean, that's good. Yeah. You found an outlet, and you were able to get all the suppressed. So obviously, one, you suppressed your dreams when growing up because you thought it was wrong, and then so there was a lot of suppression in your life. There was a lot of negativity, people saying that you're good, and all of that. So I think it all possibly culminated into you just sort of opening up, like just opening up your heart completely.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then what happened after?
After that, I was like, okay, I'm done with this ashram, because I became very playful after that. I was like this little flower that was blossoming finally. I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Like, I felt like, okay, this is like a new life, because literally I tried committing suicide many, many times, but never did I get successful. And I used to always wonder that other people are also trying this. How come they get successful? Why not me? And, it's just depressed person talk, which is, of course, when I look back into time and now I found the answers to it, and I feel like, okay, it did not happen because maybe I am important. My existence in this universe is important. That's why I'm alive. That's why even when I tried to just destroy myself completely, I wasn't successful. That means I have a purpose. I have to meet that purpose. And once I meet that purpose is when I'm going to rest in peace. Otherwise, I can try to kill myself. I can go on getting depressed for another, like 50 years. I'm not going to die because I have a purpose. And then I realized, okay, I found my purpose. My purpose is here to learn the lessons. And the lesson was to blossom no matter what. There's always a way out, because we have this habit of trying to control everything. We think that things should go the way we want. It's just like a sea. Sea has like so many waves, right? And every wave wants to just follow its own whatever track. But imagine if each wave starts following their own thing, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? There's going to be a big storm. Everything's going to be over.
Yeah.
So we cannot have everything according to us. We cannot control everything. So best is to just accept whatever, learn the lessons. And once you learn the lesson, then you can see beyond it. And then you can always move forward and start something beautiful, because what all these experiences in the end leaves you with is wisdom. And trust me, you will not find wisdom in books. I do not read no books. I was always against reading books because I was always told I'm like a horrible student, this, that, getting beaten up by teachers. I used to hate books. Every time they gave me a book, I used to just not read it, not even my own course books. But how I look at it as wisdom in terms of when I have to talk about wisdom, I talk about experiences, because that is my own wisdom. It's not borrowed knowledge from any book or any TV series or any television or any whatever article anybody's written. It is completely mine. I own it. because it is my experience, and through my experiences, I learn. And then I know what I have to do next. I don't have to ask anybody. Sometimes, yes, of course, but not all the time, because I know, okay. And even if I decide something and it goes wrong, then I'll be the one who's going to be accountable for it. I'm not going to be blaming anybody, you know? And that little thing gives me so much power, owning my own mistakes and owning my own, flaws. And then I realized my life is always, I've looked at it as flaws, but it is different. It is beautiful because of my flaws. And now I got to blossom like a flower because of all these flaws.
Yeah.
I'm going to give an example, like a lotus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about the background sound, because there's
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, just listening to you, I'm sure the listeners can just ignore the background sound. I think it's the foreground which is more important and fascinating. So so don't worry about it.
Yeah. So basically, I'm going to give you an example. Like you sow a seed. Like suppose if it's the seed of a lotus, and lotus does not grow in very nice gardens and stuff. It needs all that dirt, all that mud, all that. The area where it blossoms it's never good to look at. What makes it look good is just that flower lotus. But do you see that power of that seed? How it just pushes through that mud, and then it just blossoms. Where there's like all dirt, it blossoms there in dirt. So I just realized that yes, I have to be like a lotus. There is dirt, which is all my traumas, but I have to still blossom no matter what. And this is my life. And when I do that, and when I blossom, I can inspire many people like me. And I realized that yes, it's very easy, and I don't have to do anything. What I had to do is first transform myself to whatever extent I can. And I did not keep a goal that this is what I need to meet, because I knew that if I don't meet that goal because of certain circumstances, then I would just feel a little bad. Then how about just move the way life wants me to move, like a river? Just keep flowing and flowing and flowing wherever it takes me. And then I just started traveling a lot. I started doing a lot of groups. I started doing a lot of, meditations, meeting new people. Like there would be days when I would just book a room in a nice 5-star hotel. There would be nights when I would sleep in the bus stand because I would be broke. I would wait for my monthly allowance to come, for my father to send me the monthly allowance, because after my whatever happened, when my father wanted me to heal, he asked me to quit my job and everything, and he's been sponsoring me. So I had to just wait for the next month's thing. And if I did not have that, I was okay sleeping even on the street, on the bus stand, and I never complained that time. And trust me, that was like the best time of my life, because so many experiences. You cannot stay in an AC room with like nice, lavish furniture and everything and expect yourself to actually be evolved. You need to step out. Just as you feel comfortable in a very luxurious place, you need to be comfortable and as confident in slums as well. You need to be okay sleeping there, going, meeting people, different types of people, some very high maintenance, some very okay, some who are like, even people who are like, those auto drivers or people on the streets begging. You meet everybody, you talk, you listen to their story, and that's how you just see what can you pick from their story, because we're all mirrors to each other, We reflect. There'll be something common between you and that person. It can be anything. And once you know how to just connect to that is it. And you start evolving, because you don't have any barriers, nothing to stop you. You're just going to be flowing. And this is how I just started flowing and flowing and flowing. And things just picked up from there.
Wow. Yeah. Where are you at now? What is it that, clearly you continue to evolve, right? Which is a journey that I think most people would identify with. But like you rightly said, some people don't. Experiences are not what matters to them and what they think is learning. And I completely agree with you, because that's how I think as well, that it's your experiences that make you who you are. That's one. And two, like you said, you need to be able to own your experience, and I completely second that. And you should be able to, if it's an experience which didn't go well for you, you just have to put it behind you and say, okay, it didn't go well, but I have learned from it. And life is, as a journey, is a learning. It's like a constant learning. So I completely understand, what you are, what you believe in, and that's very interesting. And I'm sure my listeners would also have picked up from that, I hope. So yeah, because it's a beautiful thing. And for you it's unfortunate, or maybe not, that you had to go through what you did, all the traumas in your life, but in the end you are who you are, and you think life is like a river and you keep flowing. So all of it are positives, and I think that's what we need to tame, and just shove the negatives under the carpet, or just make them disappear.
You're listening to a fusion of stories recounted for the first time ever by some fascinating people from across the globe with me, Payal, on this very unique and special podcast series, Melting Pot.
This is where I would like to actually correct people, because this is how I used to think. Avoiding the negative. You know what? If you avoid the negative, you are again suppressing you. That's the whole idea of me being flawed and this and that and being sad about my life and getting depressed, was just because I wasn't owning my negative. I need to all of us need to understand that we cannot always run after positive. If I talk about divine masculine and divine feminine, so basically what happens is, now that I work as a therapist, a spiritual therapist and a healer, I do tarot and stuff. What I learned from my journey is, we cannot always ask for the sun. Sun is the masculine energy. We need to ask for the moon, which is the feminine energy, which is resting. So sun means the positive and moon means the negative. And it doesn't mean anything bad, because even to, make any machinery or toy actually work, we need a negative and a positive, right?
Yeah.
So if we shove the negative under the carpet, we're suppressing it, we are rejecting a part of us. And I rejected that all my life because of the outsiders. And when I actually started owning my negatives, that's when I found power. I found power not because of my positives, because that time I was not in that state to see anything positive, because I was never told anything positive. I never heard anything positive in school, because most of the time I spent in school and other places, I barely stayed with family. So yeah, you have to own your negative. You cannot reject a part of you. The moment you reject a part of you, your body will also, start throwing those kind of, releasing those kind of chemicals, which is very harmful. Your brain, you need to, self-love does not mean I'll only love my pretty face and my pretty body. No, I need to literally love all the things that I am not very comfortable of. It can be anything. I have to own it. It's a part of me. How can I accept half and reject half? I cannot just say, give me sun, when will I rest then if I don't have the moon? I need the moon as well. As this negative and positive, all this is, we say, I'm just going to switch the topic here. Like a lot of people, they talk about feminism so much. Yeah, this is I really wanted to cover this. I just want to tell the women, what are you fighting for? What are you fighting? Is it power? Is it power? Because see, we are telling men that you've tried to be powerful, whatever, and then you've suppressed the women. And then we are fighting for the same thing. Maybe not in different ways, but still the goal is, okay, we want power, okay, equality. But how I look at it is there cannot be equality. Why? Because we're different. You cannot compare the sun with the moon. The moon is the moon. It's a specific role to play, and the sun is the sun. We need sun as the same way we need the moon, and vice versa. We have different roles in the society to play. We just need to accept each other's differences and then find a balance, strike a balance to have a happy, healthy lifestyle and create a nice, balanced society. Because a woman, she has to bear a child and she has a greater responsibility towards the future generation,
Yeah.
And fighting with men, it's like we are doing the same thing that they have done to us. They maligned us for years, and now we are, as feminists, trying to do the same thing. It just doesn't make any sense. You cannot find power by reducing somebody else's power. If you want to really create equality, let men have their own power and you rise your power, not by pulling them down or not by men actually suppressing the woman. And this is how this will only be understood if you work with your divine masculine and divine feminine, because in the Hindu culture, I'm not a religious person, because in spirituality, we don't have a religion. We cannot say I'm religious this, that, because the whole universe is a religion for us. Even including our own body, we look at ourselves as divine, the divine energy, the divine goddess, or the divine god, however you want to call it. The whole idea is to find divine within ourselves. So keeping that in mind, first, we have to keep our feminine and masculine side very balanced. Like in that Hindu culture, we have the Artanareshwar symbol. What does that mean? It's like the union, a perfect union of the masculine energy with your feminine energy. And if I have to just split it within myself, then my masculine side is, for example, suppose I'm dating somebody and I just had a breakup. And the inner child, like the woman in me, is super duper hurt. Now, what I need to do is I just need to reach out to my masculine side. And that masculine energy is going to comfort me, which is me actually comforting myself. The masculine energy is giving me that shoulder to cry on, that strength to rise above it. And anytime I'm like super stressed and, becoming a go-getter, no, I have to get it, I have to do this. And, working myself out and not finding pleasure in anything because I'm working so hard and nothing satisfies me. I don't get pleasure. I'm always working and stuff. Then I need to call out on my feminine side, because my feminine side is going to give me that nurturing. It's going to give me that pleasure. Feminine is all about pleasure. It's all about calmness. It's all about resting. It's all about creating life. It's all about creativity, songs, poetry, beauty. I just call out on the feminine to keep it balanced within me. And when a person understands that the masculine is in me and the feminine is also within me, that's when you can actually strike the balance. Because there'll be a lot of women I've seen who'll be ranting about feminism, this, that. But in the end, it's the patriarch in them that is talking. Because women don't behave like they're not supposed to. That's not the feminine energy to behave like that. To go like literally very violent and, it's like, okay, you heal your traumas then. Don't spread hatred, because women is always about nurturing, loving. Then you are in your masculine energy. I'm sorry to say, but you're in your masculine energy. Maybe that needs a little bit of healing, or that needs a little bit of your feminine to nurture it and calm it down.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're understanding.
No, I completely. No. I'm really riveted to what you're saying, and I understand. No, completely. It makes a lot of sense. If it's sort of communicated like the way you have, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So there's a masculine in you and energy and a feminine energy in you, and they need to strike a balance, is what you're saying, right?
Yes, and nobody needs to suppress nobody. The feminine energy doesn't need to suppress the masculine. The feminine has to be 100, the masculine has to be 100. That's when, the real deal will happen. Otherwise, we can just go on and on and on, because many, many feminists, I see they write articles and beautiful articles to empower a woman. But I've also, something very deep I saw this, like a lot of people probably will hate me if I say this, but when they meet a girl who's beautiful, they don't want to compliment. When they meet a woman who's more confident, they'll be like, okay, she's doing it for attention, she's doing it for this. We love to talk and gossip and criticize. Why is that? And then we talk about feminism, empowering women. And then we talk about that sisterhood and, raising the power. Oh, girl power, woman power. You cannot even compliment or smile at another woman who's doing well in her life, much better than you, or who looks prettier than you. You have to criticize about what clothing is she wearing, what is she posting on her Instagram, how she's trying to seek attention. That is okay, as long as the attention seeking doesn't come out from a space of hurt, where she feels unworthy and then she's feeling better just by the likes she's getting on Instagram. If it's about attention, everybody loves attention. Who doesn't want attention? You don't give if you have two pets, you just give attention to one and you don't give it to the other. Just see how the other person is going to react to it. It is a very basic need for not only humans, even plants. You keep nurturing one plant and you leave the other one. No, the other plant is going to die. We all need attention. We all need love. But it's just the intention. What is the intention? Is it coming out from a space of hurt and self-doubt? Or is it coming out from, okay, this is a basic need. We all need it. Let's not criticize. And we don't see such things. And women talk about empowerment and this and that. And then they're making fun of their own sisters, And then anybody wears something and they'll be the first one criticizing. And it's just like, I just wonder, sometimes I just want to ask that one question, that is it that you want to empower those women who are underprivileged only?
Yeah.
What about the women who are in power already? And then you say she's doing it for attention, she's doing it for power, she's doing it for this, she's doing it for that. That means we women ourselves have made, because that's the patriarchy in us talking. We've always seen our mothers, our ancestors suffering, all the women. That's where the ancestral healing is supposed to happen. Ancestral trauma, it passes on for generations. It passes on because it's in our DNA. It's just how our mother was raised by her mother, and then her mother was raised by her, and we tend to pick up something or the other, just like our DNA, and we carry it, and that's the patriarchy. And we doing that to other women, where we cannot see the other women in power. We say attention, this, that, but the poor ones, no matter what they do, we need to help, we need to, protest, we need to support. That's the patriarchy. If you're talking about equality, then first learn to treat every woman equal, whether it's privileged, underprivileged, whosoever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might sound I don't know.
No,
but just saying.
No. I mean, Artusha, I think you make so much sense in the way you communicate things, and which is, I mean, it's I'm absolutely with you on this. And it's really fascinating to hear you talk about it all. Kind of, in the end, it's all about balance, right, within you. Mm-hmm. And that's what it really is. So, wow, that's interesting. So you mentioned that you are now doing spiritual therapy. And
yes.
So in Nepal, or, I mean, with spiritual therapy, does it need to be in person or not really?
Actually, you don't need the person to be in front of you. Like, it's sometimes like if people are asking for distant healing, like Reiki or pranic healing or any other form of healing, which has to do only with energy, then the person doesn't need to be in front of you. You can just do it from distance. Yeah. Like tarot also, like usually I do tarot online. I just create this Zoom meeting, or, they can book a session and then I just give it to them. Otherwise, when it comes to trauma therapies, when they want a release, and if it has nothing to do where I need to touch the body, there are techniques where you have to touch the body and do it. But there are some techniques which only needs I just have to give instructions and they just have to imagine stuff, and I just have to give them techniques, and I'll just be sitting there online and they'll just have to be following it, and it just works fine. I mean, there are different types, because I've put my hands in different things. I'm still learning a lot of things. So I've learned a lot of techniques, which some are body level, some are just to do with energy distance, some you can do over the phone, things like that. So it's all very different.
So this is clearly, it's your calling, and you finally found your balance, and you finally found, and you're able to, through your experiences, you're able to actually heal people, and people are able to reach out to you and connect with you, which I think is so incredible. And like you said, you're still sort of learning. I mean, everything is a learning, right? So yeah, so I'm really happy for you, and I'm really happy.
Thank you.
that you found what I don't know whether completes you as a person is the right way of putting it, but and correct me if I'm wrong.
That's okay. I mean, I'm not even looking for completion, to be honest. I'm just looking to live. Just like, because I don't know, because just before we started this meeting, when I said I was doing my own thing and I was like 10 minutes late, that was because a friend reached out to me, and we were talking after years. She reached out to me, and she reached out to me in panic. And I asked her what happened. And she was talking about things like, oh, I feel like I want to kill myself. I feel like I want to die, and things like that. And, it was, of course, very heavy for me as well. And then I was like, I gotta go sit for this meeting. And now my friend is reaching out after years. Years, like literally, I thought she must have forgotten me or something, because we were childhood friends and we haven't met after 2002. And now she's reaching out to me, but I still was like, oh, I need to help. So see, this is life for me. When I can just help people, I don't know how much, to what extent I can help, but just the fact that they're reaching out to me, they're trusting me after so many years, just that gives me satisfaction. It's just like, wow. And then even if I can, I say 100 things and they can even pick out that one word which helps them to shift the energy and see beyond what they're feeling, that is it. That is it that I want to live for. You understand? Because I'm myself very incomplete. I am working on looking to strike a balance. And I keep making mistakes. And that's how, I can relate to other people and give them more examples, because I have tried everything. I've made those mistakes, and I can just tell them that don't do this, don't do that, because of the amount of mistakes I have made. So there's never been okay, I need to complete. It's just that I need to be there. I need to keep living. And I've never really worked really hard in terms of okay, I need to inspire this, I need to inspire that. I just do me. I just do me. I just do whatever comes in my head, even if it looks very silly. A lot of people have given me tags, even now, oh, she's crazy. She's a mad woman. She's this, she's that. And trust me, I wear it with pride, because this is what gives me strength, that I have the courage to be myself and just do me. And no matter what the others can say, whatever, they can continue. But just that these type of messages that I receive, where people reach out to me, gives me the validation itself that I am doing the right thing for my life. And that inspires other people if it has to. If not, then, you see and you perceive the world for who you are, not for what it actually is. If you are a very loving, positive person, you will see positivity even in the most negative thing. But if you are a negative person, then you're going to find some flaw or some fault, even if it's done with perfection. So I just look at it like that.
Yeah, wow. Gosh, I mean, I think I've really learned a lot today in this.
I don't know if I'm making sense or not, but I'm just talking, I'm just venting, and I don't know if that helped. I don't know, maybe your idea to invite me on your channel was maybe some other topics, but I've just been talking and talking.
No. It's all about you. It's all about, what you feel, what you think. And and it's just been fascinating. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed listening to you, and I'm sure my listeners have as well. And some of them may want to reach out to you. So, when they do hear the episode, thank you very much, Artusha.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting. I really appreciate it.
I've really enjoyed listening to you. So thank you. And I'm going to speak to Radhika and thank her for introducing us.
Yes, totally.
Okay, you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon.
Sure, you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lots of love to you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Bye.